I think this is the first video that I've ever done talking to camera for the Oldernar channel. So hi, I'm Nick, I'm one of the 4 members of the band Oldernar and the channel that you're watching today. We've done loads of different types of videos over the past couple of years that we've been running this channel, from pedal demos to videos of us writing songs together, playing songs together live, and all sorts of things in between. And over the years, I've had a short list of all different types of videos that I wanted to do for the Oldernar channel and never got around to doing them. So as we have got at least another few months, if not longer, here in England, where we're going to be pretty much locked up in our houses, I thought if we're not going to do it now, then when is it really going to ever happen? So in addition to the short bits of music and loops and drones that I'll be posting here on the channel, and which I've got loads of videos on over the past years, I'm going to be doing some more formal videos to camera, sharing insights and bits of footage with you from the past year or so. Today what I wanted to do was talk through a little bit around our songwriting process. So for those of you that don't follow Oldernar as a band, but maybe check the channel out for some more of the gear related videos, we are a post-rock band, ambient band, instrumental band, any of the above. Pretty typical instrumentally, so drums, guitars, bass, keyboards, synths, piano, all that sort of stuff. And over the years we've been a band, which is probably about 4 years, 5 years or so. We've gone through an array of different ways of writing music and writing our songs. So before I tell you what we do currently, I want to just share with you the writing process that we used to have and why we evolved that. We used to just get in a room for 2-3 hours a week and we just jam and mess about and play. And we sometimes have weeks where after 3 hours you come out and go, yeah, that was kind of fun, but we've got nothing there that we would call a song or want to make into a song. And other times we'd instantly latch onto an idea and we'd be jamming on that idea almost endlessly for 2-3 hours. And that was the approach that we wrote pretty much the whole of the first EP that we've released, all 4 waves, and worked really well for a period of time. The problem and the downside, I suppose, to that way of writing was that it just took a hell of a lot of time. So all 4 of the members at the time, you know, full-time jobs, and we're really just getting together once a week, pretty much maximum, sometimes once every 2 weeks to write. And often what you found was that we'd come up with an idea and then a week later we'd almost be starting totally from scratch. We kind of vaguely remember the idea, we might have recorded something quickly on a phone, but then we'd almost go straight back to the start, and you could go literally 3-4 weeks and you'd feel like you're just making no progress. And on our second EP, that process evolved again, so we got a 5th member in Dan at that stage. And we started moving into the rehearsal space with ideas prepared, which I guess sped up the writing process but made it less organic. And then we've gone into 2020 and the whole songwriting process, by the nature of what's going on in the world, has had to change. So the new material that we come up with now nearly always starts with one of us having an initial idea. So it could just be a drum loop, it could be a chord sequence, a piano line, whatever it might be. Typically I'd record that idea into my DAW, which is Logic Pro X. And it may just be something as simple as a 15-second segment or chord sequence that I'll record to a BPM. So I've got the BPM locked in if I want to add any percussion or for future use in terms of recording. And depending on what that section is, will depend on what happens next. So there's generally 2 scenarios. The first scenario is you'll come up with an initial section and think, you know what, I can't really think of anything else or where that could go, in which case we'll pause. Or you might get carried away in the moment and have loads and loads of ideas coming into your head, which with myself is often the case. And then the danger is actually recording too much stuff and getting too carried away with the song that you've got in your head. So if we've got a certain idea in terms of the way that the song might pan out, or any other songs from any other artists that we want to use as a reference point, either from a songwriting or production perspective, we'll just make a note in the note section on Logic, and then you can forget about having to worry about remembering all that good stuff because it's just there every time you go back into the track. We'll then typically save and bounce that track and then send that out to the other band members to get early feedback and any initial ideas. And then in 2020, what we were able to do during periods of the year when we weren't in some form of national lockdown or the tier system as we've got here in England, was to actually come round, generally a couple of us at a time, into this room that we're in here now, and actually flesh out and jam out the tracks to start trying to create a more organic songwriting experience. So we're lucky enough to have an electric drum kit that Tom could come round and add some percussive ideas to. Dan would come round with his guitar, his pedals, and we just plug in and jam between us and come up with guitar parts. And thankfully this year, due to primarily to the Strymon Iridium, we were actually able to start getting really good guitar tones recorded for these tracks, which meant that when we would then record and save that idea and send it out, it didn't sound like a really poor demo. It was actually quite polished guitar tones that we were getting, that we could EQ a little bit and just pan and just send that out, which means that when we weren't together in the room, which was very, very rare, we could actually, you know, mostly working from home, sit back, listen to the tracks and really let it sink in, and then just email each other with ideas that we've got. What we'd have then done in 2019 with this idea would have been to take what would have been a quite carefully considered track into the rehearsal space and actually get together in a room, full acoustic set, amplifiers, guitars, bass, etc. And what we'd often find is that when we started playing the track at a louder volume, you got that physical experience of the music that you're playing, and that would actually shape, I suppose, someone playing the track, your emotions and your feelings towards the music, and would actually sometimes dictate the direction you then chose to take in terms of the songs. You'd probably spend a couple of weeks working on a track in the rehearsal space, and then at that stage I would actually take in some gear into the rehearsal room and record, generally through a sort of 4-mic setup, a semi-decent demo that we could come back at home, EQ a little bit, polish up a little bit on Logic, and then send out. And at that stage we probably spent about 6 to 8 weeks working on one single track. And that's what we've tended to do for the past couple of years, is to work on a song in batches. So rather than come up with 3 million ideas and have ideas flying all over the place and never really progress anything forward, we found it much easier to focus and concentrate on one idea, really flesh that out, and get to a stage where we were really happy with the track, and we had a really good demo. We could hear the nuances of what we were trying to achieve and what we were playing, and we could almost put that to one side, ready for actually recording the final version. So there we go. There's nothing really much more to say at this stage in terms of our current writing process. It's evolved massively over the years. We've gone from it being a much more sort of sprawling ideation sessions, jamming, etc., to being much more focused. If any of this resonates with you, or you've got any other approaches to writing music that you think work fantastically well, then please leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.